So last week I asked you guys on YouTube and Reddit, what are your craziest slash headcanon Persona theories that you have? Now, unfortunately and predictably, I didn't get many responses, but I did find a post on Reddit from 2 years ago that asks the same question. So I'm first gonna go over the 3 comments I got, and then I'm gonna go over some from the other Reddit post. Also, I would like to make a part 2 to this, so if you have any crazy or headcanon, not including ships, Persona theories, then just write them down in the comments. Without further ado, let's get started. Super Birdo on YouTube says, Morgana is definitely a cat. My theory slash ass. I know it's a running gag, or I guess you could say joke or whatever, in the Persona 5 game itself that Morgana believes to be human. Even during Maruki's reality, he is a human because that's what he really wanted to be. Which, to be honest, I don't really know how that works since Maruki never talked to Morgana, but whatever. Now, the thing is that Morgana himself said that he was born in the depths of mementos. We don't really know exactly how he was created or kind of how he was made. We don't know if he was like a random cat that wandered into mementos and then was given consciousness to guide, you know, Joker and the Phantom Thieves, or if he was just actually created there. I mean, he definitely is a cat because like in the vanilla game, once you get rid of Yaldabaoth, then there's no more God of Control. Morgana still exists, but just as a normal cat. So it's possible that he was just a regular cat that somehow gained consciousness just to lead Joker and the Phantom Thieves to the depths of mementos to fight Yaldabaoth. Anyways, Emery616 says, to this day, I still subscribe to the Tatsuya Suruo equals Reaper theory and will continue to do so until we get a canon explanation for the Reaper's origins. So Tatsuya Suruo, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, he is one of the main antagonists in the Persona 2 duology. Now, admittedly, I haven't played Persona 1 or Persona 2, so I don't really know how he is as a character. I know that in Persona 2 Eternal Punishment, he appears as Joker. Not the one for Persona 5, but that's just what it's called, and I guess there's multiple versions of Joker, don't really know. But yeah, he ends up dying after sustaining some injuries. Now, a lot of people have pointed out that Tatsuya Suruo and the Reaper have similar clothing. Not only that, but Suruo gets his like right side of his face burnt out, which he loses his eye, and that's the same eye that the Reaper is missing. Also, the Reaper only appears in Persona 3 onward, so he doesn't appear while Suruo is alive. Honestly, I would say that's an interesting theory. I mean, yeah, they look the same, they're missing the same eye. I think it's either one of two things. One, it's actually him, and you know, maybe someday Atlus is gonna introduce this somehow. I don't really know how important he was as a character in the Persona 2 duology, so I don't know if it's like a big deal or not. Or two, it probably is just a reference to him. I wouldn't be too surprised, and I know that Atlus, they like to reference some things here and there, so it could be that it's just a reference to him, and that's pretty much as far as they're gonna go. Now on Reddit, Chrono Gumpla gave me a couple of theories. Most of these involve other SMT games or the first game, so obviously I don't really know much about that, so I'm only gonna talk about the ones that actually caught my attention. The Erebus that Elizabeth nukes is significantly weaker than the one Cease takes out. So for those that don't know, Erebus is the final enemy from the answer or episode, I guess. Erebus is not a shadow. He's more of like the manifestation of people's like grief and negative desires and emotions. Now in Persona 4 Arena, Elizabeth fights and one-shots Erebus using Thanatos. But here's the thing, Erebus will always exist as long as people have those type of emotions. When Cease took it out, it's possible that bro just came back like normal. Because at the end of the day, people will always have those type of emotions. Or really mainly, I think that it just kind of fluctuates. To use real life examples, like probably during the World Wars or the Great Depression, that's probably when Erebus was like the strongest or the strongest he's been. And then there's been like times of peace where there hasn't been that many wars in the world, so maybe it wasn't that bad. Either way, if Elizabeth fought the Erebus that I was about to say Phantom Thieves, oh my god. The ones that Cease fought, she could have beaten him anyways. Like, don't underestimate Elizabeth, she is strong. But yeah, I think Erebus is mostly like, he kind of fluctuates in terms of just like the people's collective thoughts, you know, and that dictates how strong he is. So the next one is, there is only one of each Velvet Room attendant across universes. I don't really know what Chrono means here. As far as I'm aware, there is no other games that have the Velvet Room besides Persona. And as far as I'm aware, Persona 3 3, 4, and 5 all take place in the same universe. I know that each protagonist has like a Velvet Room attendant to help them out throughout their story. From a story/lore perspective, I don't know why it's different every single time. There's only technically 2 universes where the Velvet Room has existed. Persona 1 and 2 Innocent Sin happen here, and then it goes to this timeline where it's Eternal Punishment, and that's where we're currently on right now for Persona. Is dancing canon? What? Also, like, how are we sure that this is part of this timeline, this game right here? It doesn't matter. Point is that there is no multiverse where there's multiple attendants or whatever. The next one is having a persona grants each user roughly the same ability: durability, reaction speed, movement speed, etc. I would say yes and no. Personas are a manifestation of you. For example, I'm sure that Akihiko's persona is more durable than most, or more strength based than most. All the characters do have around the same HP and SP, but I think that's mostly just for gameplay purposes rather than like showing who's more stronger than who. So I would say yes and no. Like, especially with the protagonists, I feel like at the end of their respective games, they can probably fight their team and win. A bonus one from Chrono is Persona 4 is the bad ending to Persona 4 Golden. Now, the reason this is a bonus one is because admittedly I haven't finished Persona 4 Golden, so I don't know the ending of that game, and I also don't know the ending of the original Persona 4. Anyways, I'm gonna leave this to the audience. What do you guys think? Do you think that Persona 4 is the bad ending to Persona 4 Golden? What do you think? Anyways, moving on to the next Reddit thread. Let's start with a really serious one. Ren Kusami says, Tanaka owns a persona that can control time. I mean, how else does he keep his perfect look so many years later? Chat, I think this one is true. CJM310 says, after Maruki was defeated, Ren became the god of control. Since Ren's view on reality isn't distorted, everything seems normal. Except that in Ren's reality, Akechi is still alive, which is why we see him at the end of the game. Oh, and for those that don't know, Ren is the canon name for Joker from Persona 5. Now, that's an interesting theory, and yesterday I was really thinking about this one. Mainly because I was really trying to understand what it takes to become the god of control. Maruki became the god of control because he truly believed in his ideology, and he really wanted to change the world for what he saw as for the better. Now, if you remember back in the cutscene where he first got his power, it was the same time that the Phantom Thieves defeated Yaldabaoth, and that was around the same time where his resolve was the strongest. So since he was nearby and he had a really strong desire, then that's probably what he was selected for the power. I mean, Yaldabaoth existed for a reason. People wanted someone like Yaldabaoth. They wanted a god of control. The metaverse is influenced by the people. There's also a theory that I saw that because all of the Phantom Thieves liked Maruki's ideology, when they were fighting Yaldabaoth and everybody was cheering them on, that's probably why they became the strongest, because, you know, they had the collective support of everybody, and that's probably why Satanael was so huge. It's possible that they subconsciously believed in Maruki's ideology, and that's probably why he was selected. Though honestly, I don't really think it was that. It was because Maruki really believed in what he was doing, and his resolve and belief were the strongest at the same time that the Phantom Thieves defeated Yaldabaoth. Now, all this to say is that I don't think that Joker wanted to ever become the god of control. The reason why Akechi came back at the beginning of the 3rd semester is because Joker never wanted him to die. Joker truly saw him as a rival or a friend. I know that the fandom sees it differently, but at least in story, that's kind of how it is, that he saw him as a rival. That's actually why if you don't get Akechi to rank 10, you don't see him at the end of the game. You have to get Akechi to rank 10 to get him in the final cutscene. So I think him appearing at the end, it was more of like saying, damn, I really wish things could have gone differently. Like, he could have still been alive. Though Joker did respect Akechi's desires to not live in a world, you know, where someone is controlling him. Joker never had a desire to become the god of control or change the world in a way where like he would become that being. Talking about Maruki, a deleted user, RIP, said Cease didn't help with 3rd semester stuff because Makoto was suddenly around again and they were all living in the false reality. Now, this is actually a pretty good theory. In fact, I would love to see a fan story about this because it does sound kind of interesting. Now, I'm not really sure how that will work though, because if he was to come back, then I don't even think that none of the Cease members will have any memories of him dying in the first place. Pretty much how Futaba thought it was normal that her mom was around. Also, whether he did came back or not wouldn't mean that Cease was gonna help anyways. There was a lot of hints that there was shadow activity during the events of Persona 5 to anybody that knows what shadows are, especially with the death of Okumura and literally nobody in Seas did anything. So if they didn't help then they were not gonna help now. Like I said though, I would actually like to see a fan story about this. Like for that period of time that Maruki takes place, like maybe he does come back and the story ends once things go back to normal. Of course they won't remember the fact that he was there in the first place. Pretty much the same way that Sojiro didn't remember that Wakaba was there. So all the characters would just be like, I was thinking about him today. Which is kind of sad, but it is realistic to how they portray the false reality in the game. Also, another thing is, would he even come back in the first place? Makoto did die on a physical sense, but his soul became an eternal barrier to protect Nyx from Erebus. So it's actually possible that he wouldn't have came back in the first place. Also, by this point in time, I think all of the Cease members are already scattered, so if he was to come back, it probably wouldn't be in front of everyone. This makes me wonder, during Maruki's reality, did Aigis know that there was something going on? And if Makoto was back, she was probably like, what the f. Honestly, yeah, that's a really interesting theory to think about. I really wish I could give this person a shout out, but they deleted the Reddit account. I think probably there's probably some stuff there that you didn't want people to see. Alright, so for our final one, let's move to a really serious one. This one actually gets pretty deep. Seluru says, Jose is Makoto and Elizabeth's secret love child. I mean,
if you wouldn't mind, I'd love for you to guide me through it. Thank you.
sure, why not? Okay, well, that's it. I really wish I had more to show you. This is actually pretty fun to look at, theorize, maybe have my own interpretations. I can't say I'm 100% knowledgeable on everything. This is just how I interpret these theories and just how I think they make sense. Am I making sense? I don't think I'm making sense. The point is that I actually enjoy this and I would like to make a part 2 to this. So if you have any theories, please put them in the comments, and maybe one day, probably soon enough, since I don't have many ideas to make content, I can make a part 2. With that being said, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm a small channel, so that really helps me out. And if you want to watch me live on Twitch when I do come back, right now I'm taking a break, it is the very first link in the description. I hope that you have a fantastic day.